No, absolutely. And we talked about, Warren and how he'd fare in a wide zone rushing attack. And it seems like Izzy would be a perfect fit in that. And you could see why the Jets would want to go with a guy like him with that explosiveness. And I thought anyway, good value for where they got him in the fifth round.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started to think when the first round happened on Thursday night, I said, "Oh, is this going to be one of those ridiculous years for running backs where you do stupid stuff like take two running backs in the top 12 picks?" I was shocked that that happened. But I mean, when you compare Izzy and his size, his production, and just as importantly, kind of the wear on the tires, when you compare him against Bijan and you compare him against Jameer Gibbs and you compare him against some of those top five running backs, you can see why those guys were kind of rated ahead of Izzy Abanikanda. But he's got a lot of traits, I think, in his favor. When we talk about the speed, we talk about the size. He hasn't had that much work. I mean, last year was his heaviest workload. And what did he carry the ball? 390 times, or no, 390 for his career. Excuse me. I'm sorry. He had 239 carries last year. So you're looking at 150, 160 carries over the course of the previous two seasons. It's not that many carries. There aren't a lot of guys that were coming out in this draft class who were rated high among the running backs who had less than 400 carries. And so Izzy, I think he's got a lot of life on the tires. You know what I mean? In addition to the speed and the size, I think he compares really favorably. And he led the nation in touchdowns. I mean, he just had an ability to get there. I'm not surprised that he lasted until the fifth because I think in general, other than that nonsense in the first round, NFL teams largely undervalue running backs, and probably rightfully so. I mean, I think there's a lot of data to back that up. So I figured he'd be probably a day three pick, maybe sneak into the third round, but I figured he'd probably go on Saturday. And for the Jets to be able to wait until the fifth round, pick 143 to get him, I agree. I think it's a huge steal. I think there's very little risk there and almost all upside, I think.